Hello and welcome to the Gothic Unicorn and to the second part of my gingerbread cottage build. Now, in the first part we built the cottage and very nice it is too. We gave it a gingerbread effect and some nice white trim, because what is gingerbread without some nice white trim? And the only other thing I did, aside from making the floor look like it was stone, was I made a little tiny imitation fire. Now it is time to create a base for it and to furnish the inside. And I need to decide what I'm going to do on the outside. It needs some more decoration. It definitely needs some Christmas decoration. But I am really undecided as to what level to take decorating this to. Do I put fake shingles, you know, iced fake shingles on it? Do I make fake shingles that look like they are made from some kinds of sweeties? Or what? I don't know. I am still really debating it. So I'm going to start off with the base and we'll see where we go from here. Now I have also got 1/48 scale Dave out. Now Dave was bought when I was doing my last 1/48 scale build, because I did some kit bashing and I really needed a figure to see how it works. Now he's not been painted yet, he's just a little 3D printed figure. He also came from Petite Properties, which is by the by, and he judges me a lot. He stands around looking and not seeming very impressed with what I've done, but he does help me to figure out how things are going to do. So if he appears in the occasional shot, don't be surprised. It's just Dave. I am going to just apologise for my voice. I've had something of a cold. I am not quite carrying this video straight on from the previous one. I have had a little bit of a break. We've had some bad weather and I'm mostly feeling better, but my voice is a bit croaky, so bear with me please. Now when I started building this, I didn't know what I was going to do with it, aside from the fact that I wanted to build something Christmassy. So that was what I did. I built a Christmas cottage. Since then I know what I'm going to do with this, and it has fueled a whole new rabbit hole to go down. I'm going to make this into what will be part of a Christmas experience, and I'm going to use some other buildings eventually to make a little scene that I can actually use as real life decor. It will go into my living room and hopefully over the years will build into not quite a Christmas village, but certainly a little Christmas scene. So this is going to be Santa's Grotto. This will be where in my Christmas experience you go to visit the big guy in red. But obviously, if I'm going to be using this as a decor piece, I don't want a big base that I'm then going to put lots of things on, but I do want a base for this to stand on so that I can put a small amount of landscaping outside. And I was really wondering what to use. I thought about using foam board, but the only foam core board I've got at the moment is black, and that's not really what you want for winter. But I do have this stuff. Now, I know it's a fetching turquoise at the moment. It's got the protective film on. It is some kind of plastic sheeting. Now, I think it's used for signs of some description. You can scratch into it. This is a bit damaged, and it's something that we had at work to protect some printing that arrived. A much bigger piece than this. I've just cut a small piece to bring home to work on to make the base for the gingerbread cottage. And as I say, it's got a protective cover on one side, and I think it is strong enough. It's actually stronger than foam board. So I'm going to try using this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down to a suitable size. I don't need it that big, and then we can do something on there. Maybe I wanted a bit bigger than I originally thought. So I'm going to work out how big I need it, and I'm going to cut this down and trim it all off. It does have the advantage that, because unlike foam core, it doesn't sort of collapse on the edges. So I'm hoping that I won't have the problems with this that I would have with foam core. But we shall see. I have been very busy off camera since I filmed the last bit, and I've done a lot. Now, I started off with the roof, and what I've done with my roof is I have gone for a traditional sort of diamonds. It's a gingerbread thing, and I used some puffy paint. This dries three-dimensionally. However, it's kind of old and it's gone a little less than white. I am probably going to get some of my acrylic paint and paint over these so they actually look a bit more inviting. But I did that because it went with my white trim and the sort of gingerbread look I was generally going for. Then we came to the garlands. Now, as you can see, I will turn this round, there are garlands all around, and that took some time. I'm not going to lie, that was time consuming. And I started off with some beading wire. This is a 28 gauge green wire, which helps because obviously any bits of wire you see look like they should be there. And I used some beads in this sort of semi-transparent green and a similar kind of red. Now, these are size 11 beads, the little glass ones, and it took ages because they all had to be threaded onto the wire. And I tried a couple of different techniques before I came up with the one that I actually used, and that is to use 2 strands and then to twist them together to make it look thicker. And I've done that with everything apart from the little wreath on the door, and the wreath on the door has actually got a tiny little bow made out of the jewellery wire. Yeah. Now, I've had a few issues with sticking these onto the piece. Super glue would probably have been my best bet, to be fair. I ended up using some UV resin in places just to try and get it done. But I love how it looks. It has got that sort of over-the-top Christmas decor look that I really wanted, and so I think I'm done with the outside. I could add more but I don't think I'm going to. Not to this. There'll be a few bits around it when I put it on the base. So I'm going to turn my attention instead to inside, which at the moment is looking quite plain. Obviously I've got my little fire in the fireplace. I've got my floor done, and I think I need to make a few pieces to go inside. Now, because this is going to be Santa's grotto, I want to decorate it a little bit, and I want to give Santa somewhere to sit. I did look at a couple of different ideas. I got a set of rocking chairs, and I was considering using a rocking chair for Santa, but then I found this one instead, which is Grandpa's armchair and footstool, and I think that's what's going to go in there. And yeah, so that's the next step. I have put together Grandpa's armchair and footstool, and I decided, because it was made of pieces of MDF, I decided I wanted to bolster it. And then I thought, how on earth are you going to manage that? I actually did it. I used this fabric. I actually did it using a lot smaller pieces, so it actually looked a bit messy when it was done. So I painted it. I used some pine needle coloured paint. Just gave it a coat of paint to sort of make it a bit more cohesive, and I like it. I wanted it green. I think green will work well. It would work well with Santa photos, and I'm going to put that inside the gingerbread cottage, probably somewhere down there. And I think I'm going to use the footstool the opposite side of the fire, so it actually looks like you could sit on the footstool while you were talking to Santa. That's my sort of thought about it. Now, I toyed a lot with what else to put in the cottage, and I decided I wanted a Christmas tree. And now I've got a load of these little bottle bush trees, and I decided that, move that out of the way, one of these would work quite well. Put something all over it, I'm not sure what. It's the right sort of size to fit in there. And if I put my handy dandy model Dave by it, yes, it's quite a big tree. He's quite a short man. He wouldn't be 6 foot in real life. And I figured, yeah, in there, it will work. It will look good. Actually, I'll put Dave alongside the chair here. Yeah, he looks okay. He looks like he could sit in there and play Santa. Santa's on his way. He's not playing Santa. But obviously, a tree like this would need some alteration. Now, the good thing about these is if you actually get hold of them, you can generally remove these wooden bases off them. That one's coming off, like so. I know I've mucked up the tree, but we'll fluff that back up. See? And you've got the tree without the big chunk of wood on the bottom. These chunks of wood are great if you're just using them as a decoration in their own right, but not for this. And so what I did is I actually stuck the base into a decorative bead. It's a lovely silver metallic bead, which I haven't painted because I thought it didn't need it. And what I've done is I've made a little twist of some clear-ish silver. They're actually silver, but they look quite transparent. Little beads, and then I used some red beads and wired some beads up to go around the tree, and then that is going to go in there It's going to be quite big in there, but generally in this sort of thing, if you've got a tree, it's going to be a statement piece. Now this, because it's a bead, doesn't stand up perfectly on its own, which is why I'm using these tweezers to hold it, because I've got it just in the right place, and then I can add some glue and I can stick that in. And I don't really think that Santa's grotto needs much more. I could put a little table by Santa's chair, and I may, if I find one in my stash and think, oh, that's perfect, I can fit that in. But I think that I'm going to keep it quite simple. I have made some little parcels. Now these are just pieces of wood. This is a piece, these are bits cut off a strip of basswood that I bought for making skirting boards, baseboards in my 1/12 scale house. And because I wanted something that looked like boxes, the wood was perfect. And I've just painted them in red. I've got more than 3, and I'm going to stack those up at the base of the Christmas tree, and I think it's going to look pretty good. I hope it's going to look pretty good. It's going to suit me anyway. I'll put those back over there. So I'm going to go and I'm going to stick these pieces in. I should do it on camera, but there's this little problem. It's not a big space and my hand is big in comparison. It's going to get in the way. And once they're in, I'm going to start looking at doing the base. So yeah, I'll be back with that to show you this and to start on the base very, very shortly. The inside is now furnished, and if I tip this up very carefully, you can see that we're ready for Santa to meet somebody. As I say, the tree is oversized, but that's what I want. I want that sort of wow factor in my little grotto. So my next step is going to be to attach this to the base. Now I cut my base down. It's looking incredibly turquoise, and I'm just going to peel that off. Now what you will also notice is that I have shaped the corners because, well, we want it to look nice. It's going to sit on top of some snowy fabric and will eventually be joined by some other buildings. And this is going to go on something like this, at a bit of an angle, so that we can do some work around it. And I'm going to put a couple of trees, another small bottle brush tree and a larger one, I think, off to this side. And I'm going to take these off the wooden bases and I want to make little holes and stick them in there, and then I'm going to put some snow around it. So I'm going to start by putting some glue onto the cottage, and I am just going to daub a bit of this. I'm not going to be too precise, exact, etc. I don't need it all over. A couple of good blobs would probably have done it. I'm going to hold it by the chimney and I'm going to put it down about there and push that down a bit, and we'll let that dry. And I think that is going to work quite well. I'm going to use Dave again as my little model, and if I have Dave standing there, I am thinking that I'm going to put a little bit of a pathway in front of the step. I want to make a sign that says this is the grotto, or Santa's grotto, or something like that, and I think that is going to work quite well. I'm going to have Santa standing outside because the inside's not going to be visible. That's going to be for my sort of private knowledge. Now I do need to touch up this on the top. It does need to be whiter. I will get the white paint out on that later. And yeah, but I think this is going to work. So if I have some trees there, maybe a sign here that says Santa's Grotto, and then yeah, I do have a little sleigh that came in last year's advent calendar. I may make that up yet and make another piece on a separate piece of this, a separate base, so I can move them round with Santa's sleigh. Maybe as a photo op. You do get those, don't you, at these sort of Christmas experiences, excuse me. So I'm going to leave that to dry, and then I'm going to attack the bottle brush trees. I think this is going to work out pretty well. I have been very busy, and I think we're about finished. Now, I haven't yet added a sign because, as I think I said at the start of this video, this little project of building the gingerbread cottage has grown into me wanting to make a Christmas village. And until I build some more buildings, I know I want at least another 2. I don't know what kind of signposts I want, so I'm going to be kind of sensible for the time being, and I'm left a sign out of it so I don't make something that I then feel I need to remove. But I have put the cottage onto its base, and I've added a couple of trees. Now hopefully if I get this over, you can see I have textured the base. I've added a path with my gravel texture stuff, and then I used some snow texture on the white because it was just too, if I turn it over, it was just too flat white. I wanted a bit of texture. Now I have been over this with some paint, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I did what I always do, which is I put the glue on and I put the I sprinkled the medium on, and when it had dried, the glue, the base layer, I put my seal coat on, which is just a mixture of water, white glue, and just a spot of liquid soap, dishwashing detergent, that sort of thing. It just helps break down the surface tension of the water and it makes it mix better. And I put it on, not very thick, but all around the cottage, while it was drying, it had managed to leach some of the alcoholic colour out of it. Unfortunately, because this is a terracotta colour, it looked like a creature had relieved itself all around the outside of my cottage. So I went in with some white paint, and then to just make it less obvious that I'd painted just around the edges, I've stippled it all over, and it's just given it a bit more texture. I quite like it. I think this is going to work really well. And yeah, I've obviously painted over the 3D paint, which had gone a little bit yellow, not as yellow as the bits on the base. And I'll be happy to have that on display. It isn't quite complete because we need Santa, and Santa arrived. My little 3D printed Santa arrived yesterday. He is about 1.5 inches tall, so he'd be about 6 feet as a real man, and obviously He looks more like the Gingerbread Cottage than Santa at the moment. He is going to be painted, but you're not going to see him in this video because I've chickened out. I'm getting my brother to paint it. My brother has painted miniature figures for many, many years, and he's going to paint Santa for me. So I will hopefully do a little bit of a video just showing this and anything else that I actually do to go with it. And of course, I'll include Santa. Now, I have a few ideas. I've got some more of these bottle brush trees. I will probably do some little pieces and just put a couple of trees on one so that I can arrange the pieces differently as I add buildings. But I've also got, I realised, this Christmas tree. Let me move that out of the way a minute. Now this is a pain because the snow keeps falling off. It's actually a Lemax. It is a proper buy yourself a Christmas village tree that I picked up in a sale years ago, and I thought I might use with my 1/12 scale doll's house because I think it could possibly have got away with it. But what always let it down was the size of the battery pack. This is the battery pack. Yeah, well, there's no batteries in it at the moment, but it does work. We have had it working previously, but I don't leave anything with batteries in. So what I'm thinking is I need to build something to disguise the battery pack. Maybe not this year. I may just put that and then sort of stick that under the snow blanket I've got to put the stuff on. But I think if I put that and alongside that, it does look like it could be a centerpiece Christmas tree in a Christmas village. Certainly if I stick poor little Dave next to it, he ain't climbing up there anytime soon, and he definitely looks short next to Santa. But I've got that I can add. I have, of course, got a Santa sleigh kit that came from one of my previous advent calendars. That will be going in this scene in some way, shape or form. I could always put it on the base of that, couldn't I? I've got enough space there, depending on how it fits. Could have Santa's sleigh there. I've got lots of room to develop this. And I've got to say, yet again, Petite Properties have not let me down. This kit is lovely. I did it gingerbread style, obviously, but there is just so much you could do with it. And yeah, it's great. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please like, comment and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. It's your best chance of YouTube letting you know when I put up another video, because I don't know. So I can't warn you in advance. But until next time, bye.